Hi, I'm Sierra Morris and this is Chuck and the Chicks. In this video, I'll be talking about how cold is too cold for your chickens, and I'll also do a winter chicken care basics review. The fall season is here. Many regions have been experiencing abnormal weather or varying extremes. Despite these challenges, there is still a lot of seasonal joy to be had. With winter just around the corner, now is the time to begin preparations and modifications of your chicken area to prepare for the cooler temperatures to come. I highly recommend, if this is your first winter with chickens, to be sure to pick up at least one beginner chicken care guide. It genuinely doesn't matter which one, but just be sure you have at least one book about chicken care on hand. These beginner guidebooks include things like Coop plans and run plans, and they can help set you up with some fantastic, accurate information. Farm bookstores have surprisingly good book sections that include these beginner care guides. You can also get them online or from your local library or your local agricultural office. So make sure, if you haven't already, to pick up at least one beginner chicken care guide. Since this is a winter chicken care basics review, you are going to hear some of the information from my previous winter chicken care videos echoed in this video. The basics are the basics for a reason, and I wanted to be sure to include as much winter information as possible in one video. I will, however, in this video go into a little bit more specifics about some of the winter chicken care basics and add some additional information throughout. Most importantly, I want this information to remove some of the fear and boost your confidence about caring for your chickens this winter. Your chickens are domesticated livestock animals who are made to thrive outdoors. That being said, since they are domesticated, unlike their wild ancestors, they will need some help from you to have the safest and healthiest winter possible. With basic preparations and a sound maintenance routine, your flock can thrive in even harsh, unpleasant winter conditions. So, how cold is too cold for your chickens? In truth, the answer? It depends. Poultry care is purpose, regionally, and breed specific, among other factors. Taking the best possible care of your chickens will be influenced by many factors, but several basics are going to apply regardless of your location or the breeds that make up your flock. Similar to breeds of dogs, some breeds of chickens have been developed to be better suited for extreme cold than others. Some cold-hardy breeds of chicken can survive in temperatures of -15 Fahrenheit to -20 Fahrenheit degrees below zero when given proper support and accommodations. Some fragile categories of chickens, including ornamental breeds, bantams, booted varieties of chickens, ill chickens, elderly chickens, or baby chicks, are all going to be more sensitive to temperature changes and drops. If your chickens are baby chicks and are not fully feathered yet, meaning they no longer have any downy chick fuzz, they shouldn't be outside yet. Chicks should remain in a protected brooder until they are fully feathered, sometime between 8 to 10 weeks of age. Cold-hardy breeds include, but are not limited to, breeds like the Buff Orpington, the Plymouth Rock, Brahmas, the Americana, Dominique, and Wyandotte. Some breeds that are not well suited for extreme cold are ornamental breeds like Polish chickens, Silkies, or Frizzle varieties. Factors other than their breed that will impact your chicken's ability to cope with cold temperatures include their age, their general health, their facilities, and the level of support they are provided with, including things like access to appropriate food and water, as well as clean facilities. It's much more likely that your chickens will experience complications or even pass away in cold weather conditions if they're already suffering from some sort of extreme underlying health condition. And those could include things like disease, very harsh and unchecked parasite infestation, or extremely poor malnutrition or inadequate nutrition. Your chicken's physical features will impact their ability to cope with harsh winter cold. Your chicken's comb, the red part on the top of their head, is a very sophisticated heat exchange system. In hotter temperatures, chickens with large single combs can shed heat easily through this body part. Conversely, larger single combs and wattles are more subject to frostbite because of their surface area in colder temperatures. Combs which are closer to your chicken's head, like rose combs or pea combs, typically are less subject to frostbite in the winter. Chickens with smaller combs and wattles may have a harder time staying cool in the heat of summer. Whether or not your chickens have clean legs is also a factor. And when I say clean legs, I don't mean physically clean, but whether or not your chicken's legs have feathers on them. Winter can be a difficult time for booted varieties because feathers on their legs, feet, or in between their toes make staying dry and warm harder because they can collect moisture from the ground, especially in unsanitary conditions. Ornamental chickens will require additional care and health checks in the wintertime. Supplemental heat or no heat. Whether or not your flock requires supplemental heat is a decision you will need to make based on your region, the breeds in your flock, and your particular facilities. The vast majority of chicken breeds do not require any additional supplemental heat. Given the proper support they need, dry and clean facilities, access to food and water, plenty of places to roost and perch, and proper ventilation, they will get through winter without any additional heat source. Do not put a heat lamp in your coop. The heat bulb will become encrusted with dust, and this is an extreme fire hazard. If you feel like supplemental heat is necessary, opt for a safer coop-appropriate alternative like a wall-mounted panel heater or panel brooder heater. You might consider supplemental heat if your flock includes ornamental breeds, young chicks, or elderly chickens, or any chickens that are recovering from a health problem or illness. And as far as the supplemental heat debate goes, I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not going to debate it with you because you need to make that decision for your flock in your region based on your facilities. You guys know I use supplemental heat. I'll be straight up about it. You have seen my wall-mounted panel heaters. We have had an absolutely wonderful and positive experience using those, and I use those because I have both elderly chickens and ornamental breeds in my flock. But I just want to provide that point of reassurance that the vast majority of chicken breeds do not require any supplemental heat. If you have cold hardy breeds, if you're meeting their basic needs, they're going to get through winter just fine without an additional heat source. So what are the signs of cold stress in chickens? Just like heat stress in the summer, chickens will display physical indicators in their behavior if they're cold. Signs of cold stress include things like huddling together, lifting one leg, shivering, pale combs and waddles, gaping open-mouthed beak, extreme lethargy or a drop or total ceasing of activity, or distressed sounds. Seeing some of these signs in your flock, especially after the first really cold day in your region, is normal. If they are given proper support and well-maintained facilities, your chickens will acclimate within a few days to the new seasonal norm. Causes for concern include things like day after day of no activity, or as it has become an emergency if you notice your flock is not eating or drinking water. In these cases, it may be necessary to modify your facilities or consider a coop-safe supplemental heat. So it's just like in the summertime, guys, but in reverse. You know how when it first got really super nasty hot and your flock really seemed to struggle, but then after a bit, after you've been supporting them with great facilities and lots of fresh water, you notice that they kind of get used to it. Yeah, they're still hot, but it's not causing them as many problems. You're going to see the same thing in reverse with the cold drop in the wintertime. They may struggle for a couple of days to acclimate, but within a couple of days they should be acting whatever your flock normal is for activity levels. I would absolutely intervene if you're noticing absolutely no activity, and I would absolutely intervene if they're not eating or drinking. That's become an emergency situation. And again, if in doubt, if you have the ability, never hesitate to call a livestock veterinary professional if you really feel like that's warranted. But just be aware that there will be a short acclimation period, but it shouldn't take too long, and obviously address any signs of overt distress in your flock. Winter chicken care basics, a review. Regardless of their breed or your specific situation, the following basic principles of backyard chicken care in the wintertime will likely prove useful to you regardless of what breeds make up your flock. Provide your chickens with a roof. A roof protects your chickens from precipitation falling onto them and also protects them from aerial predators. If your chickens' feathers become wet or saturated, they can't effectively keep them warm, so a roof is an important part of protecting them in winter conditions. Construct winter sidewalls. You can construct seasonal winter sidewalls to place on your chicken area in the wintertime to protect your chickens from harsh draft and precipitation blowing onto them. Sidewalls can be constructed from things like a tarp, construction plastic, plywood, or scrap lumber. Straw bales can be used as a temporary or emergency sidewall, but keep in mind they will decompose and they do retain moisture. Decaying straw can also become home to predators like snakes and mice. If you're utilizing straw bales as your winter walls, be sure to dispose of them and replace them in a timely manner. Your chicken coop and run need ventilation. Chickens need ventilation in the winter, not draft. And the difference being, ventilation allows stale air to escape while protecting your chickens from harsh wind and weather. Ventilation also helps mitigate excess moisture in the wintertime, as this is one of the main components that contributes to frostbite conditions. Leave areas at the top of your chicken run and coop protected by hardware cloth for ventilation. If you can only afford a small amount of hardware cloth, use this on your coop, as your chickens will be most susceptible to predators when they're roosted at night. Ventilation helps prevent things like frostbite, ammonia toxicity, and respiratory issues. Do not entirely hermetically seal in your chicken area. Your chickens need to be sheltered from weather conditions while still having access to fresh air. Provide your chickens with plenty of roosting and perching options. Chickens keep their feet warm in the wintertime by perching or roosting and covering their feet with their feathers. Plentiful perches and roosts help alleviate overcrowding, boredom, and help prevent frostbite by giving your chickens options to escape the cold, wet ground. Perches can be constructed from things like 2x4s, scrap lumber, large natural fallen tree branches, or other items. Plastic or metal perches are not suitable for harsh winter conditions. Both plastic and metal perches can become dangerously cold in winter temperatures. Instead, choose natural materials like wood or branches. Straw bales also make great additional roosting and perching space in your chicken area. Dispose of the bales and replace them once they become too soiled to be perched on. Your chicken's nighttime roost should be at least 18 inches off the ground, but also provide roosts at varying heights and a ramp if needed for aging flock members. Use a livestock-safe ground cover litter. Use a livestock-safe ground cover litter and maintain your chosen style of bedding, whatever it is, whether it's spot clean and scoop method or deep bedding method. Ground cover litter and bedding like pine flake shavings or coarse sand make an ideal ground cover. If you're using spot clean and scoop method, remove any areas of excess droppings and refresh them with your chosen ground cover litter. If you're using deep bedding method, make sure you cover those areas of excess droppings with your chosen ground cover litter. Either bedding method, your chosen ground cover litter will need to be replaced in entirety annually so it doesn't harbor harmful pests and bacteria from year to year. Reduce excess moisture in your coop and run. Repair any holes in your roof or the walls of your coop. Use a livestock-safe ground cover litter to address any muddy areas. Excess moisture and mud combined with freezing temperatures create frostbite conditions for chickens. Create areas of ventilation placed high in your coop and run, cover with hardware cloth to allow excess moisture and stale soil air to escape. Ventilation areas should be high above the level where your flock roosts so they don't become exposed to draft when they're sleeping at night. Sanitation and maintenance of your chicken area is important year-round, but especially in the winter. With their options to forage reduced or eliminated entirely by harsh winter weather, your sanitation and maintenance routine is the cornerstone of your flock's health, especially in the wintertime. Remove excess droppings from your roosts and perches with a scraper. Mine is just a drywall putty scraper. That's what I use. Other dry cleaning tools include things like a dedicated hard bristle brush. Addressing and removing excess droppings is vital to your flock's winter health and their health in general. Other winter considerations include things like providing your flock with access to food and water. Multiple food and water stations make it possible for less dominant flock members to eat and drink without being harassed. Well-timed treats can be used to bolster your chicken's appetite and activity level. I only serve treats 3 times per week to be sure I don't create a nutritional imbalance in my flock. Your chickens will need access to fresh water even in freezing temperatures. You can use a heated livestock water bowl or commit to checking and refreshing your chicken's water several times per day. Non-electric options include things like using a black rubber livestock bowl. Your chickens will also benefit from access to grit and calcium. Grit is necessary for your chickens to properly digest their food. With their chances to forage grit from their environment reduced by cold weather, this important supplement helps them maximize the nutrition available in their food. Calcium supplement helps maintain strong eggshells and feathers. Also, do not provide moist treats at night right before your flock roosts. Moist treats can adhere to your chicken's face and wattles, which can lead to frostbite. If you are providing treats with a moisture component during cold temperatures, do so in the morning when your chickens have adequate time to bathe and remove any food that's adhered to them. Or avoid moist treats altogether in cooler temperatures if you experience frequent, extreme, harsh winter cold. I serve my chickens a warm morning treat like cooked oatmeal, apples, and mealworms. Be certain that the oatmeal is cooled to room temperature so you can touch it without any discomfort. Even at room temperature, it's still warmer than the outside temperatures for your chickens. And at night, I provide them with mealworms, corn, or scratch grain, but only 3 times per week. Serve treats in a livestock-safe dish and remove and discard any unused portions so you don't attract predators to your chicken area at night. I serve treats in addition to, not as a substitute for, complete chicken feed. Your flock will likely use more supplies than they do in the warmer months. This was a shocker for me my first winter with chickens, but in the winter your flock can consume as much as 1/3 more food than they do in the warmer months. And that makes sense because foraging can actually make up a portion of their diet, but with that opportunity to forage removed, they're going to rely more on their complete chicken feed. Especially if your flock is living partially or full-time in confinement, their bedding and ground cover litter will need to be replaced way more than it does in the warmer months. Don't forget to also refresh your chosen nesting material as needed. Temperature drops and transitions will be the most challenging for your chickens. When the temperatures fluctuate 20 degrees in a single day, this is what poses the most difficulty for your chickens physically because they will struggle to acclimate. Dry, clean, comfortable facilities, plenty of roofs and perches, and food and water is all that most flocks need to navigate these conditions. It is not advisable to bring your chickens indoors in extreme winter cold because just the transition from outside to inside could kill them, as they're unable to adjust to the drastic temperature difference between outside and inside. I would only consider removing a chicken and bringing them indoors in a life or death circumstance, and not as a response to normal seasonal discomfort. If you do have to bring a chicken indoors for whatever reason, make sure to transition them gradually. You can utilize a closed garage or a covered porch for this purpose. In most cases, it's not necessary. If their basic needs are being met, your chickens will acclimate and even thrive in winter conditions. Your chickens need access to a dust bath year-round. A dust bath is an essential part of your chicken's health, and it also serves as a form of enrichment during the winter months. You can create a dust bath from any chicken-safe container they can easily step into and out of. Fill your chicken dust bath with things like clean fill dirt, wood ash from non-chemically treated wood, coarse construction sand, and food-grade diatomaceous earth. Very important note here, make sure it's the food-grade diatomaceous earth, not the pesticide kind. A dust bath is essential to your chicken's grooming routine. It's an important part of how they maintain the health of their feathers, and it also helps them remove harmful parasites from their skin and feathers. Your flock's productivity will naturally decrease in the wintertime. With shorter days and harsher temperatures, your flock will naturally produce fewer eggs in the winter. This important natural break is vital to their overall health and allows their bodies to cope with the harsh winter cold. I do not recommend using artificial light to manipulate your chicken's laying cycle. This can decrease their lifespan by as much as half and cause other very serious health conditions, including egg binding and premature death. Preserve your abundance of eggs now, in the late summer and early fall, using methods like water glassing or freezing liquid eggs to enjoy your flock's eggs all winter long. Egg production will naturally increase again after the winter solstice as the days start to get longer. I did a whole video about preserving your eggs long term, so I'll be sure to include that in the description for this video as well. Predator pressure is likely to increase in the wintertime as well, so if you haven't watched it already, please be sure to check out my video about all the predator protection methods that I'm aware of. The more predator protection methods you stack, the more effectively you can safely protect your flock throughout the winter and all year long. So make sure you check out that video if you haven't watched that one yet too. If you believe like me that small flocks and small gardens can save the world, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I make new videos every week about backyard chickens and homesteading. Thank you to all of my subscribers. I'm so incredibly grateful and humbled by your interest in my channel, and guys, I just need you to know when I say I'm grateful for every single one of you, I mean it. It took me so long to find the thing that I was supposed to do, and I truly believe that I'm here to teach people about backyard chickens and homesteading, and I'm so grateful that you guys hear all the love in my heart about backyard chickens and homesteading. These are the things that keep me going. This is why I wake up in the morning, and this, I truly believe, can improve quality of life for people all over the world. So just, when I say heartfelt thank you, please know I really mean it. I'm so grateful for every single one of you guys. You are helping me build
an amazing flock, and we are doing it together. I need every single one of you guys to do this, and thank you so much for working with me to create an amazing online environment specifically that is friendly for beginners to backyard chickens and homesteading. I always want everyone to feel welcome here, welcome to share their different lived experiences, and to feel like they walk away from watching my videos with some really helpful information, and you guys help me make that happen. So just seriously guys, thank you so much. I'm shocked and so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Whew, got emotional. Thank you guys for bearing with me while I happy grandma cried about how grateful I am for all of you for a minute. Just being real. I hope you enjoyed this video. I understand again that many of these tips are a review from my previous winter care chicken videos. I will be switching to a different topic next week, and I'll post that in the community. You guys can help me pick out the topic for next week's video. We can talk about some different stuff and just keep learning and growing, learning everything we can about backyard chickens and homesteading. There is a lifelong amount of learning in both of those topics, and I can't wait to learn as much as I can with and from all of you. If you have questions about backyard chickens or homesteading, or an idea for my next video about backyard chickens or homesteading, be sure to leave that in the comments. I respond to comments as quickly as I can, and I answer as many questions as I can, as accurately as I can. Thank you so much for participating here on the channel. We would love to have you as part of our flock. Lots of love from our Coop to yours. See you next time.